Hi, my name is Samantha Peterson, and I am just going to walk you through the Express Note Taker app that I made for my Project 11 homework. So, one of the biggest things that I tried to do as I was going through this project, because I was getting a little bit confused with folder structure since it was a little bit more than I'd previously worked with, is I tried to make a lot of notes here in these gray comment sections with useful links to the viewer or a potential user so that if anybody else came back and tried to look at my files, they would know where I was gathering information from or how I was working through things. So, and then I also included which port I'm listening on and packages I used. So hopefully going through this is fairly helpful to anybody that was a newer developer like I am, or for anybody else that's trying to review my code. And then I even included things like things that you would need to run down in your terminal for either dependencies, packages, or just things that I feel like are helpful. I really like NodeMon, so I use that pretty frequently. So this is the server.js file that I worked on. So it's telling you which port it's going to listen to on this project if you're running it locally. And then it's telling us that you need to make sure that you have installed Express or run npm install Express. And then we set up a couple of other important things. We're telling it to look to or connect with our API and HTML routes. And that's right here. And then, so this basically is just some built-in middleware that we're telling it we're going to use. And hopefully this makes sense looking at the comments too. I feel like hopefully it's fairly user-friendly and easy to follow. And I've done that in each of the sections, just even if it's a couple of notes. But so then our public folder is basically our front end. And that was code that was already provided. And then the rest of this, like this DB JSON, is going to give you a list or a history of the different notes that you've typed in and saved. You can see this will match to our note taker when we look at it in a second on the deployed app. And then here, we're talking about it's talking about deleting notes, and then if we come over here, we have our pieces here in all of our basically backend or server files are all tying in to our front end that's in this public folder. So they're basically, now that I have this completed project, they're making connections, working together, and then let me show you the final result here. So we could, this is the part that's actually deployed to Heroku. So if I just click get started, I can say, oh, I want to add a note. So I'm going to say, and then I'm going to come down here and add some kind of description. Sweet. And then I'm going to save it. And if it all works correctly, we should be able to see our new note on the side. And say I decided, okay, I don't want to keep my I like sunshine note in here anymore. So I'm going to just come over, click the trash can, and it is gone. And then you can also check this out locally. So I can say, oops. So if I go back to my app here, and then if I just come, I'm going to go to the server JS file, and then down here I'm going to run npm start, and it says your server is now listening on port 3306. So now let's try this again. Sweet. Okay, so we know it works locally. It'll do the same things over here. And then once I had this all set up in my local host, local server, then I was able to get it to all work on Heroku. And I definitely learned a couple things in this project. I learned to delete instances of your, oops, wrong one. In my terminal, I caused some trouble for myself because I had a whole bunch of other instances of my terminal down here. And so I couldn't see when it was showing me errors. It just looked like it was fine a lot of the time. And there were some problems with it going through. So, because I always just basically come over and say, open an integrated terminal. And so I popped up multiple instances of this project. So I learned if you do that, then come and delete it, or work in the same one for the majority of the time, because that caused me a little bit of trouble. And then I also learned that it's really important to, I was reminded to read the instructions every time, because another place that I really caused problems for myself was at one point I made some changes to this index file, index.js, note, routes.js, and it caused me a lot of problems because that code was already set up and we didn't need to touch it. And so it pays to go back and read instructions and to make sure you read them really well in the first place. So those are definitely good learning things for me. And it was good to work with more like a front end and a back end and come out of that feeling like I had a better understanding of how it all worked. And it definitely took me time because I had to do a lot of research to kind of supplement what we had learned in class, just because it is a little bit more complicated than what we had been doing before this point. So I feel like this will give me a much better foothold on working with back end, front end, or just doing the back end. So I hope you enjoyed my video. And if you have any questions, in my README, I have listed ways that I can be contacted. So for anybody that wants to contribute to the project or so on. So this is my README right here. And, but yes, I've included down here for if people find issues or problems or want to contribute. I've listed ways that people can get in touch with me, and got my walkthrough video link here, and then just some screenshots of my application. So I hope you have a great day, and yeah, thanks again for watching.